Alright, Frontal Blessings. We are back with another video. It's a little rainy here right now. So if you hear a little bit of the noise and the rain coming down on the truck, that's what it is. Alright, before we begin, a couple quick announcements. 8th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. Again, you can sign up and register now. We're ready to have people sign up, register, pay the whole nine. It'll be October 30th to November 2nd, 4-day event. Kicks off on the 30th with the meet and greet on Thursday evening, 7:30, 8-ish. We're going to start a brief opening ritual to kick off the conference. Friday and Saturday, classes and workshops from 9 to 4 p.m., 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Both nights, we come back later in the evening around 7:30, 8. We do a group ritual together, and then followed by a group social dinner. Little hanging out, little socializing, kicking it, eating some good food. That's the fun part. And yes, be on alert if you do come, please. When the hanging out, kicking it, eating part stuff, the spiritual stuff's put on pause, all right? One thing I notice people got to learn to balance and harmonize out when it's time to just chill and it's time to be spiritual, okay? So when we just kicking it, hanging out, grubbing, that's what it is. It's kicking it, hanging out, just grubbing. That's it. All right, I make that announcement too at the conference, but sometimes people just don't get it. All right, and then the conference finishes up on Sunday the 2nd with a question and answer session by yours truly from noon to 4 p.m., and that wraps up the conference. You can attend live and in person here in Hollywood, Florida, which is in Fort Lauderdale. It's the last city in Fort Lauderdale before you get into Miami Beach. It's close to the beaches, shopping, minutes, 15-20 minutes from the airport, Fort Lauderdale International Hollywood Airport, Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. There's Airbnbs, hotels. You have tons of options. The venue is in the heart of it all, so it's very convenient. Again, as I've said in the past, some people don't even rent a car when they come. They just Uber it around because everything is so close. Some people do rent a car because they want to go see other things while they're here, and that's fine. But if you want to sign up to attend live and in person or virtually, which gives you access to all the classes and the workshops and the question and answer session on Sunday, shoot me an email and I will send you information. Shoot me that email at khnum19@gmail.com. All right. Also, if you're interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, I offer various different types of readings: telepathic demonic readings, Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, shadow work readings, which shadow work, as you know, is continual. It's a great reading to do if you want to be pushed or pointed in the right direction of what it is I need to be focusing on. Deity readings to see what gods, goddesses, demons, and spirits walk with you. Or maybe you're just interested in a spiritual consultation because you got questions about the occult, the left-hand path, or you want to focus on a specific situation or something on the occult. Any of the aforementioned, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. Please include in that email your availability on a weekly basis, including the time zone that you live in. And we'll find a day and time that works for both of us. Also, if you want to sign up for classes, the way to sign up for classes is go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. That's patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. Tier 3 is the tier you want to join. That gives you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, including the group ritual we do together at the end of the month. Also, keep in mind when you join, it gives you access not just from the day you join moving forward, but it gives you access to everything in the archives, which is 6 years plus back. All right? So that's patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. When you go to the page, go to the collection section, you'll see all the ongoing classes right now, and there's a bunch of them with new content being added regularly. Again, you can attend the classes live. It's done via Zoom. Don't worry about it if you can't get to all the classes live. Obviously, that's why everything is archived and uploaded. You can watch the classes and take the classes in your own time when it works with your schedule. I can tell you there's a boatload of content on it. It's going to keep you busy for a long time. Between books, resources, classes, work, ritual work, group ritual work. Again, it's for that person that wants to take their path to self-mastery to the next level, all right? So check it out, patreon.com/Baniti. Also, don't forget to check out all the social media pages, Primordial Chaos 9, all one word on Instagram, Primordial Chaos, 2 words, on Facebook, primordialchaos.com 3 on TikTok. That's the best place to stay abreast of all the latest happenings, classes, events here at Primordial Chaos. Go to those platforms and please subscribe to them, and that will keep you abreast of what I'm doing here at Primordial Chaos. All right, don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. Also, I want to pump out there, I went on it just recently, yesterday. I keep forgetting to let you guys know, the TalkShoe page is still up. Primordial Chaos on TalkShoe. There's over 150 episodes on there that I totally forgot about. There's some classic episodes on there with Eileen Bay, some shows I did with Panic, which I'm going to upload to the YouTube just to have them, because I know a lot of his stuff is down and off the net. But we did 4 good shows, 1 with Eileen Bay and 3 with Panic we did on there back in 2015, 2016. At that time when I was kind of dealing with Panic for a while before, a lot of things went, his stuff was growing, my stuff started to grow, and we didn't talk as much, as we did in the beginning. But just to kind of out of honor and respect, to kind of keep some of that information out there, I'm gonna post that up either tonight or tomorrow as the recording of this video. All right, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to the channel here. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button so this algorithm can get out there. Make sure you hit the likes, hit the notification bell, subscribe, get all notifications so you get notified, hopefully, when I go live or post a new video. All right, you see the title. Again, when I do some of these titles on the Bible and the Quran and monotheistic religions like Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, I always want to say this in the beginning. I know that's not for everybody, and that might not be your forte, but understand there are people who are transitioning in on this path from those paths, or people who just want clarity on certain topics because maybe people from those religious schools of thought are asking them questions. So I like to try to address when a lot of these religious topics come up, and that's the reason why I do it. So I've gotten a lot of good feedback from it for those that need it. And if you're past that, you're past that. It's not for you. It is what it is. But I will continue to post these in between because there are still a lot of people out there who have questions on this, especially newer people transitioning over to the occult and the left-hand path, and people who deal with religious folks that maybe want some more clarification on how they can teach and educate them and get them out of that indoctrination of religion or the false concepts of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Because as I've said before, they're not practiced in quote-unquote their pristine purity. As I said before, Christianity here in the West is super watered down, and the mother of that is Catholicism. When you go to Coptic Christianity, and which has its origin in Egypt, Alexandria, Egypt, right? It's totally different the way it's practiced. Same thing with Judaism and Islam in its purity before it was corrupted by a lot of these so-called red Arabs that came in and took a religion or a spiritual system that is nothing in the shape that it's in today. So I like to try to address these things. So I got an email from an individual to address what is, or the concept of, you guys have probably, if you came from religious background, the Dajjal in Islam, or which would be the same thing known in Christianity as the antichrist, the Dajjal and the antichrist. So the question was, is this a literal person? Is this metaphorical? What is this referring to? Well, this gets a little tricky because it mentions it. Let's start first in Christianity, then I'll go into Islam. In Christianity, it is taught, it is mentioned sometimes, if you're not looking at the translation, sometimes it is mentioned where it specifically gives the perception that it's referring to a specific individual. Sometimes it's described as a spirit or an energy, right? It does refer to the Antichrist in the singular all throughout various books of the Bible. It even refers to a title in 2 Timothy 2 verse 3. There's a whole, it's 2 verse 3 to a few verses after that. It refers to, it literally describes an Antichrist figure called the son of perdition. It refers to an individual that would rise up, would represent lawlessness and rebellion, and would have the masses fooled, would have people fooled and convinced that they are represent, quote unquote, the good of what monotheism represents, but in actuality, they would deceive the very elite or the very elect few, and they would get a lot of people to kind of buy into their program, their hustle, their scam, or their agenda. And so you see it, Judas is referred to as the son of perdition. Anybody that represents going against the norm, or anybody that is anti the law or spirituality when it comes to religious schools of thought. So you see it, it's tricky because whether it's the Antichrist, or you see later in the books of Paul in the Bible where it refers to an Antichrist figure or character type referred to as the son of perdition, this could apply on a multitude of levels. Now, some sects of Christianity will strongly teach it as if you're supposed to be looking for one particular individual. Now, here's the reality. You can apply that Antichrist character type over the course of history through a lot of people that have been here, gone, dead, buried. I mean, we can look at Jim Jones as an Antichrist, David Koresh, right? I mean, the list goes on and on. Helter Skelter. I mean, there's many people that could fit that quote unquote Antichrist. Charles Manson. I mean, the list can go on and on. Some can also apply it to certain world figures such as Hitler, right? I mean, this is why we have to be careful. So I think you got to use your good judgment here. I think it refers to, there's a spirit of what religion is trying to refer to as the Antichrist, or as I like to say, anti-crisis. Now, keep in mind, you have to go to the origin of the word. The word Christ, keep in mind, is a Greek word that comes from the word Christos, right? Or they'll say that's kind of when you're saying the word Mashiach or Messiah, which means anointed one, the Christos. Now, even when you get in the Bible in John chapter 1, verse 41, to show you that word was never used amongst Jesus's followers or Jesus himself, it says we have found the Messiah, but he is being interpreted to Christ. So that's when they were traveling around Greece and Rome. So this is where you get that word. Now, when you're saying the Antichrist, I always say anti-crisis because the Christ concept that they've created is a crisis because it got everybody all fucked up in the head, arguing and debating and fussing with each other. So when they're saying the Antichrist, they're obviously saying somebody who's against their Christ figure. So it would represent rebelliousness, adverse to the teachings of their Christ. Hence, you have the word Antichrist, right? So, again, when you read the scriptures and the translations, you have to look at the context that it's being used in. Because, yes, as I said, it's clear where it's being translated as if it's a specific individual, but could it be a specific individual at multiple different points in time? When you're looking at the context, then you see it described, sometimes mentioned in a future tense in end times, quote unquote. But still, over the last several hundred years, we could apply that to multiple people in history. Hitler would fit the category of an Antichrist. Mussolini, right? The list goes on and on. Again, Jim Jones, David Koresh, Charles Manson, all these, Osama bin Laden, right? All of these people could fit the Antichrist narrative, right? Some believe it's a symbolic and it represents an energy, a spiritual energy of being against Christ, right? But also Jesus himself said in the book of Matthew chapter 24, beware of those, he warned you, beware of those coming in my name saying I am Christ. Now, I've said before in the past, people translate that as that means be careful of people coming saying they are Christ. That's not what it means. Go look at the context. He's saying beware of people, in the future tense, he's saying beware of people that come saying that I am Christ, referring to him as Christ. That's what he's saying. That's why it says in John 1 verse 41, we have found the Messiah, but they are interpreting him as the Christ. And he made sure he differentiated because he knew these so-called, people that were not, his own, who he was sent to, that were against him. He made it clear. He never referred to himself as Christ in any sense. So you see in Matthew 24, beware of those who come in my name saying that I am Christ, meaning him. Now, and then again, as you see also the title, the son of perdition, mentioned in the letters of Paul, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. That fits the narrative too. So let me shift now real quick to Islam, and then we'll kind of sum this thing up. Now, Islam has the same kind of prophecy mentioned, especially in their different hadiths or sunnahs or traditions, right? Because the problem that I have with most of your modern day so-called Sunni Muslims, or the different sects of Muslims that's out there now, Shiite, Ahmadiyya, Malani, you name it. There's a bunch of them. I mean, that's become just as bad as Christianity, right? And the problem is a lot of these so-called Muslims today follow the hadiths more than they do their own Quran, right? But in their religion too, they have an antichrist character, the Dajjal, which is basically saying the same thing in Arabic, right? It talks about too the Mahdi, right? Who, depending on when you're talking about different sects of Islam, a lot of people believe the Mahdi has already came, right? When you go into different schools of Islam, they believe the Mahdi came in the 1800s. There's a good movie out depicting it with Anthony Quinn called Lion of the Desert, which is probably one of the the movies out there. And there's another one with oh man, what's his name? Popular actor. It's called The Mahdi. Well, most people in the Islamic world believe the Mahdi came in the 1800s, early 1900s. Okay. And according to Islamic prophecy, the Mahdi would come first, right? And that would be the kind of, he would be the forerunner to kind of, I don't want to say a savior or Messiah-like figure, but he would gather the masses. And especially he would bring people together and unify them under the banner of Islam or the flag of the Mahdi, right? To establish the religion of the Prophet Muhammad, the last and seal of the prophets. But it's also recorded in their sunnahs and their hadiths that there would be a Dajjal or an Antichrist that would rise up, just like in Christianity. And whether they're influenced by that or not, we don't know. Could be that this, and when it refers to the Dajjal, right, you can read it similar like in the Bible in the context that sometimes it specifically clearly is referring to a specific individual, or sometimes it's speaking metaphorically, right? But I will say this, I find in Islam it refers to more when you read it in the context as if it's a specific individual more so than Christianity. Now it's a good mix of both. Now it's debatable on either end, but they too have a Dajjal or Antichrist type of figure that again is supposed to come and mislead the Muslims off of what they call the Siratul Mustaqim, the straight and narrow path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet Muhammad, right? So it's very similar when you look at it. So now the question you would have to ask yourself in that context, because remember, as the Quran says in Surah Al-Baqarah, the 2nd chapter, and all throughout the Quran, remember, the Quran is confirming what came before it, and it says they do not differentiate between that which was revealed to you, Muhammad, prior to the Quran, which is the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, the Zabur, the book of Psalms that was revealed to the prophet David, the book of wisdom that was given to the prophet Luqman, the Injil, which is the book of Revelations, which was given to who they call Jesus. We do not differentiate between any of these scriptures and prophets. And it even goes on further to say, when in doubt, refer to what came before it. Now, if that's the case, the Injil, which is mentioned multiple times in the Quran, which is the book of Revelations, not the entire New Testament that you see these bonehead Muslims that don't even know their own religion, and not these other Christians who would like to use that as a debating point against Muslims, and Muslims don't even have the intelligence to respond back. The Injil, again, as I did in a video not too long ago, a few weeks ago, is not the entire New Testament. I don't care what any Christian tells you, they cannot prove it through the language, grammatically through the Quran or through the scriptures. It's fact, okay? Because I've been seeing these debates for the last couple of years online between these different Christians and Muslims that the Injil, and I always hear the Injil come up, and they say the Injil is the good news or the revelation. Look it up in Arabic, it's a revelation And in the context that it's used in the Quran, it clearly states, when you look it up, it was a revelation or a book that was given specifically to Jesus. And only one book fits that narrative, and that's the book of Revelations. All you got to do is read Revelations chapter 1, the first couple of verses. So I want to make it clear, the Injil is not the entire New Testament. It is the book of Revelations only. Now, I bring that up because the book of Revelations mentions that Antichrist persona and that Antichrist spirit or energy. It mentions a lot of that as you go through the prophetical 22 chapters of the book of Revelations. So is there that influence there? I think there is an influence there. Obviously, that transitions over into Islam, because the concept of the Dajjal and the Antichrist is not much of a difference. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's not really much of a difference. It's very same in how it's described, and it ties into the same context that this would be something that would lead people astray. It would fool the masses. As it says in the Bible, it would even fool the very elite or the elect few. Right? Look, how many evangelists fit the mold of an Antichrist or a Dajjal? Right? Look at these televangelists that are, hustling and conning millions of people worldwide. Couldn't all of them be quote unquote Antichrists and Dajjals? So now to bring it home, right? I don't think either way you can say, is it specifically a person, or is it referring to a concept as a whole, a spiritual? I think it's a conglomeration of both. That's my opinion, right? Because I think that Antichrist energy. Now, I want to make this clear, because I hear people do this. Antichrist really has nothing to do with the occult and the left-hand path, unless you are creating a doctrine or a concept that's anti, or the antithesis or the reverse to Christianity. Now, I know in some forms of the occult, especially the early Church of Satan under LaVey and the Satanic Bible, that focused heavily on counteracting the false teachings of the Catholic Church. When I see people incorporate this Antichrist concept in occult and left-hand path rituals, I mean, I'm careful with messing with stuff like that, because I think you're still bringing that religious indoctrination in, right? And I really don't mess with any of that stuff personally. Me, I'm not knocking anybody that does, because I think it's pointless, in my opinion, because I think what it does is it drags you back into religion. And you have to be careful in the context that you use it. So I want to be clear on that when we're using this term Antichrist, and then factor in some of the things I said earlier in the video. So I think it's basically a combination of both. I think it's a representation, because I think you have to be very conscious and aware when you come across it in the Bible or the Quran, the context that it's used in. When you come across it in the hadiths of or the sunnah and traditions of Islam, how it's used in the context. Now, in some points too, let me leave you this: it does specifically in the hadith describes an individual. It describes one of their eyes being kind of deformed. It gets into sometimes in certain instances specific physical characteristics of an individual. So that could be a validation point for those who believe it's actually one individual. I just think, again, it's mentioning different things over many different points of time. And as I said, in 2 Thessalonians and Timothy, it's specifically referring to an individual that would rise up and deceive the very elect, right? So I just think you have to be very conscious and aware of the context that it's used in. Do your further research, come to that conclusion, but it was a good question. And again, if anybody has a topic they would like me to discuss, send me an email. I'll do the best of my ability to try to get to it. All right, other than that, it's going to wrap it up for me. You know where to reach me if you need to reach out to me for a spiritual reading or a consultation. My contact email address, the direct link to the social media pages, the link to the podcast, the direct link to the Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of those links are in the description box of this video you're watching. Also, don't forget, again, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you guys soon. Infernal blessings. I'm out of here.